So if you've been with me on this journey for any amount of time, you may already know that I'm not a big fan of the phrase best settings. Yes, it's a great title and it's a tagline to reach people who are searching on the internet, but the fact is there's no such thing. It's like saying, here's the best car or here's the best phone. A better term would be, what's the most popular settings? Now that being said, I think we can all agree that the one thing we strive to achieve with our drones is buttery, silky, epic, cinematic video footage. Did I get them all? So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about the 5 most important settings to get the most appealing video footage with your Mavic 2 Pro. Hey, thank you for stopping by the channel. This is 51 Drones and my name is Russ. If you enjoy what you see today or any of my other content, click on the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. So I did a 3-part series on settings for the Mavic Pro a while back, and since then I've been sorting out what seems to result in the most appealing final product with the Mavic 2 Pro. One thing that I want to say though is it's a perpetual learning process. I'm guessing that a few months from now these numbers might change just a little bit. But when you're trying to achieve all those buzz kind of words of footage, it really just comes down to 5 settings: gimbal pitch speed, gimbal pitch smoothness, yaw or rotation EXP, brake sensitivity, and yaw endpoint. Now, if you want to see a detailed explanation of how I arrived at these settings, watch this video right up here. The numbers are a little bit different, but the way that I got to them is exactly the same. Now, the first 2 settings are set in the gimbal settings, the gimbal pitch speed, and it's just what it sounds like. How fast the gimbal moves. I keep that at 15, which is the same that I have on my Mavic Pro. For gimbal pitch smoothness, which is how quickly the gimbal reacts to you moving the wheel, the higher the number, the slower the camera will engage. I always have that set to 20 on the Mavic 2 Pro. Now, it's a little bit different on the Mavic Pro. To me, I don't know why, but it just seems like 15 is a little too slow on the Mavic 2 Pro. Next, there's the yaw EXP setting, which you reach by clicking on the MC settings and then advanced settings. Click on EXP and then change the yaw EXP, the one in the middle, the rotate, to 15. Now it doesn't take very big increments to make a huge difference here, because what you're doing is you're adjusting the reaction of the drone to the very first part of the input, like the first, 15 to 25%. Because it's such a small percentage of your total input on the movement of the drone, any change to that number is going to result in pretty significant movement. Next is a couple of sensitivity settings. These are also under the MC settings. Now you want to leave the attitude at 100%, and then you're going to set the brake and the yaw endpoint to 50. After flying DJI drones for 2 years now, I can honestly say that these really are the best settings for these 2 things. If you set the brake sensitivity too high, the drone will stop too abruptly when you release the stick. Finally, with yaw endpoint, you're just adjusting the maximum speed of full throttle as you rotate the drone. If it's set too high, your drone's going to look like it's having a seizure, and lower is better. So the lowest it goes is 50, so set it to 50. So those are my recommendations for the 5 most important settings to attain footage that you can be proud of. Now, a question I often get is, what is the difference between using these settings, these manual settings, and the cinematic intelligent flight mode? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, the gimbal settings that I just discussed are not affected by engaging cinematic mode. Cinematic mode only affects the drone, so those need to be set manually. When you engage the cinematic mode, you are changing only the braking and the yaw sensitivity. Normally, you would want these set to 10 and 50 to keep the rotation and braking smooth and steady. But because we've already set our movement controls manually to be smooth and steady, what I would recommend is setting these just a little bit higher. This gives you a second option for drone movement. Let's say one day you want to get some footage that isn't necessarily for the purpose of being cinematic. Then you could switch it into cinematic mode, where your gain and your yaw is set just a little bit higher than your manual settings. Or vice versa, you could set your brake sensitivity and yaw endpoint higher in your manual settings and keep these numbers lower for those cinematic moments. Basically what I'm saying is that you could have 2 presets with different cinematic settings. I hope that makes sense. Now, personally, I hardly ever use the cinematic mode, and I don't think that many people do. I think it gets ignored because most of the time we want all of our footage to be movie-like and cinematic. So we just adjust the settings manually. That's why best settings videos are so popular on YouTube. So that's all of my recommendations for drone input and gimbal settings for the Mavic 2 Pro. Again, they may not necessarily be the best settings, as that word is pretty subjective, but they are what I personally have found to result in the best looking footage. Now, like I said, just a reminder, if you want to see exactly how I got to those settings and a detailed explanation of why you choose those, go ahead and watch that video on my Mavic Pro settings. Now, I have a little bit of homework for you guys. What I would like you to do is next time you go out and fly, go ahead and change your settings to what I just described, and then come back here and comment to let me know if they improved your footage. I really want to know if the information that I'm providing to you is helping to improve your creative experience. So if you did get anything of value from this video today, please click on that thumbs up. Also subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I want to thank you for watching, and as always, fly safe and fly smart.